welcome to UGASports Live. My name is Radi Nabulsi. I'm joined by Jim Donnan, the former Georgia Bulldogs head coach, and Dayne Young, our executive producer in charge of running the clips. We have a bunch of Kirby Smart clips from earlier today that we're going to get to, basically talking about Georgia's scrimmage this past week. This past Saturday, the Bulldogs hit Sanford Stadium and got after it in pads and tackling to the ground. And I know, Coach, you would love to have been out there and see it and get back into the groove of it, but it was closed to most of us. Unless you give a lot of money to Georgia, you didn't get to go. And so we're going to pepper you with questions and try to figure out what the heck are the Georgia Bulldogs doing and what was the goal of scrimmage number one. They have one more scrimmages coming Saturday. Then they'll kind of roll over into a walkthrough the following Saturday. Then after that, the games are here. So we're halfway through fall camp, which is the title of this week's episode, halfway through. So, Coach, what was Georgia trying to do in scrimmage number one?
You have a master plan for your practices in the fall, 29 opportunities plus the walkthroughs, and everything's based on progression of building your squad, developing your team, but also analyzing what your positions of need have been, how they've been met through either the portal or recruiting, and also how much somebody's developed from one year to the next. So many young players mature in so many different ways between first and second year. And so by that, the capsule is 29 days or practices, and how are we going to get to that final day where our team's ready to play Marshall? So to the casual fan, or to the ones that are even more advanced, or to the ones that know everything, like the ones on the DawgVent, they, seriously, I think our DawgVent's awesome. But realistically, that was not a game-type scrimmage like so-called one that you could go out there and put a finished product. The thing you got to realize is you're trying to assemble two teams at once there. It's not just your team. So the scrimmage part is okay because you got offense and defense, but like for special teams, you got to get all of a sudden, let's get the number one punt team. So who's going to be the team that defends against that punt? Are they going to be second, third, fourth team? Who's going to get them out there? Are they special teams coaches, or the GAs, or what are they? So you got to get the numbers out there, get them lined up, get them in the front, and do what you got to do. Same thing for kickoff return, same thing for kickoff coverage. So it's an organizational, I wouldn't say nightmare, but logistical situation where you got to get it all organized, where you get the maximum amount from the time you have allotted. You've got 3-hour window there that you want to do all those things. So I would say that, from my perspective, that first scrimmage, after laying that little introduction, is just intro into what it's like to go into Sanford Stadium. You want to tell your players, when you go into that stadium, there's an expectancy level of performance. And you put up on the board there, look what this team's done every time they've been in the stadium since 2018. So you want to recapture that mindset that we're putting everything on the table here. We put the installation in, we put in our offense and defense, and now we're going to have what they call full speed tackling, live bullets out there. We want to see how you react. We're not near as worried about results as far as what the score is going to be and all that, but we're looking at effort, discipline, the ability to execute your assignment. And so that's what we're looking for as an overview. And then also, can you fight through the adversity of fatigue, heat, failure, success, and put it all together as a player? Kirby's always constantly talking body language. They're looking for that too. So, and in the end, you get a report where every player's graded, his GPS is graded, how fast he's going on his monitor, and you evaluate that. And the last thing I would say would be, here's what is kind of a misnomer here. Let's just say Gunnar Stockton is the quarterback. We got the offensive line. We got the defense. Ellis Robinson is a corner. and let's say Kobe Young is a wide receiver. He drops back. He throws a fade pass into the south corner end zone, and both of them go down there. And in the end result, Ellis Robinson intercepts the pass. Well, right there on the internet, Saturday afternoon, Gunnar Stockton threw a pick. Ellis Robinson made a great play. So here's what I'm going to say about that. Here's what could have happened there. Ellis Robinson could have grabbed Kobe Young and kept him from getting to the position he needs to be and got the interception. Or Kobe Young could have pushed him off, got the touchdown. People in the stand, boy, Ellis Robinson, he hadn't improved any. He can't cover anybody. There's a touchdown. Or, boy, I thought Gunnar had a good gun. That ball was off kilter there. What happened? I thought he was going to be at the – so all those things are analyzed by us and people watching novices out there. But there's a lot of ways to skin a cat there. So what you see is results about what the public looks at, but what the coaches are looking at. Did he execute his technique? Did he cause a play because of a missed assignment or because he used the wrong technique and all that? So every coach is great. Every player is graded on assignment, technique, and result. And each guy probably get 100 plays. Okay. The other thing I want to put in there, I'm on a real diatribe here, so don't stop me here. So the last thing is that these guys have so many plays that they want to get in. So they have a 12-play drive that they're going to look at, and then they're going to ones versus ones, twos versus two, three versus three, some kind of kick, all that. But all that stuff is evaluated. Now, carry that to this week, and what they've worked on last week is out the window. They're adding new stuff in this week, and they'll work on that in their installation of offense, defense, and everything, and see if the kids can evaluate it. A little bit more advanced this week and a little more situational stuff this week. So toward the end of practice last week, they did short yardage goal line against each other, coming out, and then what you call 2-minute offense. And so it's a process, but I would just say don't be too quick to judge. You know, from my standpoint, if a guy throws, and I would say at the minimum, and that's just being low ball, every one of those quarterbacks from the time they went out there in a competitive situation, 7-on-7, 1-on-1, teamwork, all that thing, at least 75 passes. And he threw one pick. He threw one pick in the scrimmage, from what I understand. And the other guy, the second quarterback, Pugs, threw one pick. That takes two. 2 out of 150, pretty good. You can't do that in a Walmart parking lot.
They would take that for the season, that's for sure.
So that's it for me. I'll see you later.
So, but that's good. So they're evaluating players, and if anybody comes out and says, "Well, the offense was, not fancy," it's because they're not. They're not putting in Mike Bobo's offense. They're evaluating the players. And Kirby was not excited that there wasn't any heat.
Let me get back to that real quick. Do you really think they give a rat's ass about that? They're not trying to. If they were trying to win the game and go against each other, Nate Frazier would be out there every snap, pretty much. Kobe Young would be playing. The Thomas kid would be playing more. I know from talking to some of my inside people that they were really looking to look at some of these younger guys to see what they could do. They know what those guys can do. They're not interested in now. 2 weeks to go after this week, they'll be putting it all together and going, first and second units and looking at personnel. They are not looking at that situation. The other thing that I really feel like that Kirby's one of the most aware guys I've ever known. He tries to avoid big pileups. So every time they go 11-on-11, whether it's spring game, spring practice, whatever it might be, they don't do a lot of inside runs, a little power football. Most of the plays are on the perimeter, and our defense is really working hard on setting the edge. So they're going to look good on perimeter runs. But if we wanted to just line up and Burmer Road the ball 3 straight runs, we could do it. We've done it in practice already. You've been reading about it. So we didn't do that, and consequently people are saying our offensive line, blah, blah, blah. I want to make another point about our offensive line. Do you realize we had 4 guys drafted this year?
Yep.
4. 3 of them right now are starting in NFL. Fairchild, Ratledge, and Jared Wilson are all starting. I don't know about Truss. He might be 3 out of 4. So that just goes to show you, if all those guys have been healthy like they needed to be, Wilson missed 2 games. Ratledge missed 6 games. All these guys off and on. Freeling missed 4 games. So I do think that our line is going to be more consistent this year just because of health. So I'm giving these guys a little more credit than they got. But we talk about last year, too, about all the reasons, the drops and all that. But it wasn't necessarily because our O-line was bad, that's for sure.
So to my point was not so much, people worried about the offense or defense. I don't care. And I'm with you. We've pointed out for years, remember Mark Rick used to come in and he would give us the stats. And he would tell us these stats don't mean anything, but, Keith had this many carries. Todd Gurley had this many carries for this many yards. And, here's who led the team in tackles. And we'd pepper him with questions. And people get worked up about it. But Mark would just roll his eyes like, you folks are idiots. This doesn't matter because, like you said, if the offense does well, then people complain about the defense and vice versa. I just want to get into the overall view of 1 versus 2. This week was more analyzing the new players, and Kirby was upset that it wasn't hot. He wanted to see that the guys push through it, and the weather was nice. So next week's more about next week's more install type stuff.
They got paid back today. This humidity here now make a bulldog break his chain today out there, and I'm sure those guys took. But I feel good about the way we do things. We got a blueprint. Kirby's won all those championships at Alabama. They've done the same thing here. Last year was not a great year. We lost 3 games, but a lot of reasons. But
we have Kirby's thoughts on the scrimmage.
Let's go for it.
I was pleased with the effort for the first scrimmage. We didn't tackle exactly great, which is the first time we really tackled live. We've done a little more live tackling than we have in the past, so we did do some prior to the scrimmage. But I was really pleased with the effort on special teams. I think that's where we set ourselves apart in scrimmages because we do the special teams within the scrimmage, and we didn't have we have guys competing for spots on those units, and I thought they competed really hard. So.
Coach, is that unique to have special teams within the scrimmage?
Well, I think the point that he meant was that most of the time when you have a full bore-out scrimmage, you just go run plays and do it, and then you do, have a period of all punt and then a period of all place kick. But he situationally does, let's just say you got 4th and 6 on the 40. They don't go for it. They practice the pooch punt. They incorporate all those kicking situations within the framework of the script that they have. They have a script before it starts. It says 1 versus 1. Then if they did score, they would say we'll kick 3 field goals. They kick field goals instead of extra points so they can practice longer ones, Then and then 3 field goal blocks at the same time. Then they'll do kickoff and kickoff return. So they get probably 8 or 10 kickoff returns and kickoffs that, within the framework of the game. And the other thing that helps you is it lets the guys learn how to condition themselves. Let's just say you're second-team linebacker and you've been out there on defense, and then all of a sudden the kickoff team's got to kick off. You got to run down there and get on the kickoff team. So it teaches you how to line up and be part of the unit and everything. And for our fans that watch, they know, but he's a big believer in getting a lot of players involved because if you can get on the field and prove you can earn some respect, then he's going to have a tendency to let you play earlier in a position of during the game, instead of just special teams.
Well, Roddy, that's why you had the point. I think it was before Kirby even spoke about it in the news conference. You made the point on the board that Georgia is looking for special teams gunner replacements for 2 of the most productive players in that spot in the country last season. And that's one of the things they're searching for in fall camp.
Well, he's the one that came out while we were out there. He said, I lost the two greatest gunners in the history of college football, and Dominic Lovett and Arian Smith. And I'm like, wow. So he's looking for two more. So what was Kirby Smart yelling about the first day of practice when we got to go watch it? He was complaining about special teams, and he took the press thinks he has the best kick returners, best punt returners, best kickers, and best punters in the nation. So what did Kirby say today? I think our special teams sets us apart. And granted, it was in the term of practice, and I won't get too on a big special teams diatribe here, but I'm just saying that he also said in that same thing, punting is the biggest play in football, most important play. And I'm like, okay. So point being, when we asked him about what was the overall thing in the scrimmage, what do you think? He brought up special teams and tackling. Coach, he seemed worried about tackling.
Yeah, I mean, just because another thing here about football, you naturally think when you watch TV and you watch a game, you never see a guy running down the field and just tagging a guy or doing what we call thud, where you just bump into him and all, because the game's based on knocking them to the ground, and that's the way it is. But you can't sustain yourself from now until the 1st of January going out there blocking at each other live and tackling each other live every day and putting each other on the ground. I mean, nobody can do that. So there's a lot of drills where they just wrap them up and they butt them up and things like that. So when he mentioned that, once you do tackle and take that chance on the injury and get hit, not only get tackled, but get hit and put on the ground as a tackler, then you want to use that when it's more of a game situation or practice 11 on 11 instead of individually, because you want to protect the players. And, they have those – I'm really happy they got those Guardian helmets now that help you on concussions, and they do so many things to protect the players. It works good.
I want to ask about a specific player, and I want to be sure we have the clip there. You're talking about defense, talking about tackling. I was very interested in the whole thing that's going on. One of the guys that got maybe banged up a little bit in that scrimmage because of tackling or something was Daniel Harris, one of the cornerbacks. He's fighting for that position opposite Dalen Everett, but there's also Ellis Robinson. He's the 5-star guy, the #1 cornerback who came in last year. When we got to speak to him, he wanted to play more. He was a little disappointed in his playing time. Like you said the other week, everybody that goes in the portal is going in for playing time. Now, he didn't. I'm sure he probably thought about it, but he's fighting for a spot. And we asked Kirby Smart about Ellis Robinson. Let's see what he had to say.
50% of our team is year 1 and 2. So if you don't come in on year 1 thinking you're going to play, then, probably at the wrong place. Doesn't mean they're all going to play, but he's improved. He's worked really hard. He competes in practice. He can play physical. He doesn't always do it. He needs to do it more consistently, but he is not shy or afraid of contact, and he's got ball skills. He makes plays on the ball a lot, and that's a big part of being a corner.
We definitely heard that second part, that he had ball skills, but I think if I'm a Georgia fan, I'm excited Kirby saying that he is physical and he likes to get in there and mix it up.
Yeah, I mean, he came in here at much ballyhooed, #1 corner in the country from IMG, came in with a lot of hoopla and very well spoken young man. And last year he just couldn't get the nagging injury. He always had something. Not that he's injury prone, but, a shoulder or whatever it might be, and just couldn't get any rhythm in practice. I talked to Muschamp about it and said, if we get him out there and work him more, he's natural, but you just can't play on talent once you move up. And he certainly got explosive ability to a couple things. He can jam you at the line, but if he doesn't get a good jam, he can recover so quickly. And he's got, as Kirby said, there's a lot of defensive backs that can cover you, but once the ball's in the air, it's just average as far as locating it and knocking it down and playing it. He's very astute at that. And it's a very competitive situation. Daniel Harris, on the other end, is the guy that did get in the portal 2 years ago and decided, after looking at it, to stay here, and has really made some good moves since then, and is very a different type of player, maybe not quite as strong, but more angular, but good recovery period as far as breaking on the ball. And the other thing is if a guy stubs his toe out there and a trainer goes over, somebody in the stands is going to tweet out that so-and-so's hurt. And but certainly there's some guys that get injuries that are definitely that take them out. But I think in Daniel's case, he came out for a few plays talking to a couple defensive coaches, but got back in there. But we got 3 defensive backs there. Everett is a starter, been here forever. And then those 2 fighting for it. And then DeMello Jones, who was really highly recruited, but is more of a guy learning how to play the position. Was not, he played everywhere in high school. So, and then you bring in some of these freshmen too. But I worry about everything as a coach. But corner right now, we got guys that can line up and look like guys that Kirby's played with forever here.
Coach, of all the recruiting that Georgia did in the offseason, getting Everett to come back, because he would have been a middle rounds draft pick, maybe if he had a good combine, second, third round. Like, he's that kind of talent, isn't he?
Yeah, I think the speed, the pure speed, which those numbers are what they're looking at from the standpoint might keep you from going quite as high because you got to think who they got to try to cover up there. And then also in the pros, after 5 yards, you can't touch them. So you better have some catch-up speed. So, but in his case, you look at the pros and cons, kind of like what we did with some of those guys 2 years ago when they came back, the ones that decided to go later. You look at all the guys that started in the pros last year from that secondary. We had 3 NFL starters playing that all came back there last year, and it really paid dividends for them. So that history is something Kirby can talk to Everett about. The other thing he brings to the table is tremendous leadership. The players believe in him. He's a quiet leader in his own way, but he knows the system, and he's good with the younger players as far as somebody to look up to, but also sets a standard for how to practice. The guy just does everything the right way, and big plus getting him to come back.
You triggered something in my mind, Coach, when you talked about being a leader. And I think it was Dash that asked Kirby about the guys going into year 2, not sophomore year, but year 2 as being a starter. We're talking about KJ Bolden, who was a freshman last year, being a leader of the safeties. We're talking about Drew Bobo being a leader. He had one of those blue hats on, being a leader in his room. J.J. Haney, a true freshman who's been getting one of those blue Guardian caps, saying that he's playing with energy. Asking C.J. Allen, Raylan Wilson, it feels like they've been around a long time, but they're not. They're pretty much brand new guys back there, but they had to play a lot as true freshmen. A lot of young guys who are leaders. London Humphreys. I asked Kirby who's the leaders in the wide receiver room, and he said we got a bunch of them. You mentioned Colby Young, but the first guy he mentioned was London Humphreys. In year 2, and Zachariah Branch. Guys had a lot of experience as he's a junior, but I was just very interesting that as Kirby mentioned, half our team is so young. A lot of these leaders are guys that have not. They're not getting there with age, Coach. They're getting there with actions because they're not that senior leadership. Daylen is kind of the exception, really.
One of the things in any organization, you're looking for talent. You're looking for ability to prove it, and that necessarily you don't gauge that by age. So I think in the case of all these guys, they've been around for the most part, and they know what the standard is here. And so they take the bull by the horn. I mean, you take a guy like Drew Bobo. He's been around a couple years, but last year when he was called on, when Wilson went down, he got to get in the fray and did a good job. And it's not just talking about it. He's done it on the field, so these other guys will listen to him. But I will say this about Bobo, and this is the last time I'm going to talk about nepotism, but Drew Bobo is going to get drafted. Everybody on the board put it out there right now. Jim Donnan, Drew Bobo is an NFL center. He's going to go. I hope he stays another year. Maybe he might, maybe not. He's got the intelligence. He's got the foot speed. He's got the size. He's got the quickness, and he'll be an NFL center. So look, let's not worry about what his dad does, and he's playing because he's got a scholarship for his dad. But going on forward, the other guys, KJ Bolden, another guy, the paradox here, we had a really good player in Ellis Robinson and #1 corner in the nation, and KJ Bolden, the #1 safety in the nation. So KJ came in here, wasn't necessarily ready any more than Ellis, but the opportunity was there because there was a position of need, and he got to get in there because of he didn't have to wait his turn quite as much as Ellis did, and he did the job extremely well, and not just because it was open. I mean, he was. I mean, look at the play made against Texas to set up the last field goal that they had to try. I mean, this guy's a baller, man. I mean, he can do it. He's a lot like the guy we just lost that's playing for up there now. You know, from he's a really good safety.
Okay, Starks. Yeah.
And he can play wide receiver too. I mean, caught a lot of passes in high school. His ball skills are there, and tremendous special teams player. I mean, I don't know how much they're going to play him because you got to play him on defense. Usually Kirby will play him, but I could see him being a gunner out there on top of things.
Coach, I'm glad you made that point about nepotism, because you just have to look around at other coaches on the staff that have had kids that play college football. One of the reasons Will Muschamp is not as interested in full-time coaching right now is because his son is at Vanderbilt. If nepotism was a thing, he'd probably be at Georgia. Dell McGee had a son in the last couple of years. Good athlete, good high school player, probably not up to Georgia's caliber. Like, there's not nepotism. You're going to be a good football player if you go to Georgia.
Yeah, it just kills Kirby to tell one of his teammates that he played with that we can't recruit your son. I mean, the guys are getting scholarships to SEC teams. Kendrell Bell's son's going to Arkansas, blah, blah, all across. They're good enough to play here, but the standard's such that it's hard to meet that. And he's going to go overboard to take a guy. I mean, you know, we're going to end up with David Jacobs' son, I hope, and some other of these guys. But there's no nepotism involved here.
Yeah.
I talked to Doug Marrone today a little bit about Jared Wilson because Doug Marrone coached with me, and he's an O-line coach now for up at the Patriots, and he was talking about Jared, and he said what a steal that guy was. I mean, people didn't realize how good he was, and hopefully we helped a little bit, myself and Kirby and all, and Stacy. But he was asking me about, how's Bobo going, because he had him in camp at Alabama. Bobo was over at Auburn, but he came down to Alabama's camp. He said, I really like him. He said, I've seen him a little bit play last year. He said, I hope he does well.
Yeah, no one's complaining about all the legacies Georgia's trying to get. I mean, they build to have Whit Weeks right now, but Lawson Lucky might be your best tight end, and nobody's complaining about that. So.
Got his brother too, but Whit Weeks, I mean, I hate we lost him. I mean, David was here right before me. His brother goes to LSU. Schumann busted his ass on the guy. I mean, had a home visits. We tried hard. I just think there got to be a point where Whit wanted to play with his brother at LSU.
Yeah, my point is you go after those guys because they're good football players. They went after Drew because he's a good player.
Well, now the third week's brother is at LSU with them, so all three together for one more year. That's special stuff.
Yeah, it makes mama happy too.
Yeah, I get it there. One of the last guys we had, who's the third clip?
We have Nate Frazier. So this is kind of on that second-year bump and team leader situation. So what Kirby Smart had to say about Nate Frazier's development going into his second year. And remember, he came in summer last year. He was not one of the mid-year guys.
His knowledge and pickups, third down, pass pro, knowing when I can get in, when I can get out, when I have to stay in and protect, how I protect. The knowledge and understanding of that is not having to rely on the quarterback to tell him. I think that's big. His confidence in his run and his ability to give effort and conditioning level is much better than he was as a freshman.
And, Coach, I remember being on the watch-along show with you when he got in early because he's a super talented player. And it was one play, and you were saying he was trying to be high school hero there. You weren't being demeaning toward him. You were just saying he hasn't learned that thing yet. It was game one. And so it sounds like that he's learned what he's supposed to do with his runs to maximize what he can be in college to this point.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that good, you can outrun everybody. Early on, what he did was break to the outside on the inside run, try to run outside. But a couple things about Nate. He's kind of a jitterbug type back and really special as far as quickness, and wasn't real good after contact last year. He got hit, and one of the hopefully some of the people that aren't members of our UGA show or whatever site, tell them how to do it right. But between you and Brent Rollins, you do things, and Brent did a deal about that Nate was lower in the country as far as breaking tackles last year, and I think they've worked hard on his strength gains and all that. They're not trying to make him a bullish back that can just slam everybody down, but maybe break a few more tackles. But he is a special talent as far as quickness and speed. We got to make some long runs. You look at last year, we certainly had the long run against Texas in the SEC championship game by ETN, but not many home run balls, and that helps you too. So he's capable of that, among the better backs in the country, and looking for a big year from Nate.
We have a bunch of questions for Coach Donnan that we'll get to real quick. First, I want to mention our friends over at Athens Ford. Fantastic deals they have going on over there all the time. I just got one of my emails basically about tires. Like, hey, if you're a Ford Explorer, if you want to get a set of tires, you get $100 off. So they're always trying to, help you out with your service. They'll send you emails about your battery, based on how long you've had the car. So they keep up with what you need, what's going on. I appreciate that. They also have a lot of the specials on the Escape, the Broncos, the Sports, the Mustangs, the Ford F-150s, the Ford F-250s. They are a 5-time Carfax top-rated dealer. And basically, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024. I mean, that's based on the people who go and buy cars from them. So if you're looking for a good deal on a vehicle, new or used, swing by Athens Ford. You will be very glad you did so. Also want to mention our friends over at myperfectfranchise.net. Andy Ludecky and the folks over there will get you into a new job. If you're looking for a new career path, you want to get out of the rat race, you want to have a lot more time off, you want to basically jump into a new venture. Say, look, I'm tired of doing this. And don't say, hey, I'm too old. I mean, you could be 40s, 50s, 60s and start a business. You're not going to be the one climbing on roofs and stuff like that. You're going to be the owner. So you basically be hiring people. So look into myperfectfranchise.net. Tell Andy Ludecky what you're trying to do. I want to retire. I want a different form of income. I want a more active or passive form of income. This is a guy who can get you squared away, and it doesn't cost you anything. Hi, Dane.
I'll get to some questions. I'm going to start with some from our social. I will acknowledge a big thunderstorm has now hit Oconee County. So, Coach, in probably about 15 minutes, it'll be at your house. And Roddy, another 10 minutes after that, it might be at your house.
My lights are still on, but a couple people asked me last week about my sunglasses, but I hope everybody realizes that just have an issue. I read today where Monica Seles, the tennis player that used to play, has just been diagnosed with myasthenia gravis, which I have. So 2 great tennis players have it now.
And to that Bulldog Ben on the DawgVent at UGASports.com said, does Coach need any help around the house or errands run around to help him? To which I say, Bulldog Ben, that's my job. Don't come in my territory.
Yeah, but we might need to get a calendar here because my family's getting got to go back to work. I mean, I'm doing good. I'm moving around a little better, and but maybe we could get a list and have some people come over here and hang. We'll have a good time.
All right, let's go to A. Neal. This is from X. Do you have a mouth-watering player or players yet?
No, it's not fair to do that till after. I'll definitely give you one after the week of the Marshall game, because hopefully I'll be over there to see them in person. But certainly you're hearing some some words about guys that are taking the place by storm. But I don't think it's going to take very long for people to recognize that Juan Gaston is a unique guy, a lot like Amarius Mims, maybe not as in good a shape as Mims was, but that kind of size and ability, he's going to make an impact on our team. 6'8", 6'7", 365. Be careful about going too quick on him, but he's definitely going to help us. But no mouth-watering guy that from the new guys, but the old guys, certainly there's plenty of those. All those linebackers just take my breath away. And then we'll see how hopefully one or two of these young receivers that transferred will do that. But we got some good athletes here, 1 through 85. I can tell you that.
This from James Caraway, one of our super fans. Coach, did you ever do anything like Kirby's doing with the blue helmet caps to reward players during fall camp?
Yeah, I mean, just the significance of that, I think, is something we used to have. You could, if you got, if you made every practice for fall, spring and fall, we put a star beside each guy's name. Every day you got a star, and if you got one at the end, then that signified that you gutted it out and didn't miss anything. And started this. One of the things I did at Florida State is put those tomahawks on the helmets, kind of copied Georgia on that. But we used to put the tomahawks for individual awards. We did a good job on it the first year. Second year, not very good. We weren't very good. So, but the thing you always want to remember, though, this slogan that'll go down, probably put it on my grave: there's no greater reward than team victory. I mean, individual stuff is great, but when you can get in that locker room after a game and sing the school song, nothing like it. And so I haven't done anything like Kirby's doing, but I think it makes a point to everybody else that you're setting your standard every day, that as a coach, and these guys are meeting it.
This question from one of the nicest guys I've met in and around UGA. Armistead Whitney has a question for you, Coach. Says, it's great seeing you back. Gunner Stockton did not get much playing time last year because the games were so tight. Given Gunner's playing style, should Ryan Puglisi get more time this year as QB2?
Yeah, well, first of all, Armistead really does a great job of backing Georgia, more so than just talking about it. He's really been big for us on NIL and a lot of different areas. So he can ask as many questions as he wants. But I think the fact that Gunner kind of got penalized a little bit last year because so many close games, you know what I mean? We the year before, we were on cruise control a lot of times in the third and fourth quarter, and these guys get some reps when, you just don't go in and hand the ball off and run the clock out. So from that standpoint, he hasn't had game reps like you would like for. But we talked about it last week. The practice reps he's had have been invaluable going against good players, not only this group, but the guys that have graduated. As far as getting Ryan in there, I can see particularly, and I'm not going to, again, get Kirby's rat these first two games. We got to do it now. It's that we're playing against the Green Bay Packers. So hopefully we can get ahead and play a lot of players and get their feet wet before we go up to Knoxville. But I just think Ryan has made so much progress just because he was not able to go last spring. He hurt his knee a little bit, and you're going to be real careful there. You got a quarterback's got a chance to get hit from so many sides, even if it's neutral and you're not going tackling. But he's got those heavy reps all fall, spring, and now here, and the guy's got big time arm. I'm talking about the kind of arm that gets anybody's attention. Like today is the day that the pro scouts can come for the first time. And there are probably 20, 25 pro scouts here. And I guarantee they're looking at this kid and say, good God, this guy's got an arm. But the thing that Kirby uses that for is a little motivation for our players between last week and this week. If you're going to try to go on cruise control this week and get ready for second scrimmage, you're hurting yourself with these pros out here. So
That's smart move.
Another psychological ploy by the old coach.
This from Chan Chitwood over on Facebook. Can you have Coach Donnan address short yard situations? It just seems like Georgia hasn't been able to pick up 1 yard when it's been needed for the past 4 or 5 years.
Well, that's certainly been a nemesis, and he's definitely right. We've always talked about, as far as things you want to hang your hat on, is be able to run the ball when the other team knows you're going to run it. And we haven't had quite the power running game that we need to, but I think because it hasn't been quite as good as it needs to be, then it gets magnified. It's not that bad, but it's not dominant like he would like or I would like. That's something they're working extremely hard on. But it's a lot easier to make 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 if you get in the habit of it. You expect to make it instead of going up there and saying, good God, are we going to jump offside? Are we going to let somebody come off the edge like what happened against Notre Dame and knock the ball loose? You know, you think about all those things instead of calling, okay, overload right, 34 gut on 1, ready break, and everybody goes up there and first down. Instead of in the huddle, hey, we got to watch the penetration. Don't jump off. So, you know, all those things you warn them about. That's the way you look at that.
Question from ALB Green and Eddie from Ackworth talking about Georgia's defensive line. Who will be a game wrecker on that Georgia defensive line this season?
Kristen Miller in a New York Minute. I mean, this guy, another guy that came back that I just think is among the guys that when you talk about when Chris Felica or Stanford Steve or Reese Davis or those people start talking about Georgia guys, they always want to know who those wreckers are on the defensive front. Who's your Carter? Who's your Richard Seymour? Things like that. He's not Carter yet, but he's got extreme ability and really got confidence in himself, and he's knows the system, and he's going to be a really much of a dominant player up front. And then you got some other guys that are probably going to come along too, and they'll be better because of the outside edge players they got with them and the linebackers. I just think the cohesive defense, 11 guys together, it's going to mesh and make the defense a force compared to we had to maybe, you know, move some guys around last year to get what we needed.
James Caraway says, Coach, I'm interested in the maturation of Monroe Freeling. What are you hearing about him in camp and his improvement?
Well, I'm a big Monroe Freeling fan just because I've seen him develop. You know, he came in here highly recruited out of South Carolina and didn't get to go quite as quickly as maybe some of the other guys because he had the size, but he just didn't have the natural strength that goes with hand-in-hand being a tackle. But he did have the mental capacity. And last year when he really got it rolling, he got hurt a little bit, and because of that, he got beaten a couple of times. And when you're out there on an island like that, people see that, and you get a tendency to typecast them. But he's got all the tools. He's a really good kid. I never will forget the night before the Ole Miss game. I went down to eat with a couple guys from ESPN, and a lot of times some of those – it wasn't the night before, Thursday night. So a lot of times some of the players get together and kind of mesh and go to different places and eat. And some of the old linemen were down there, and it just so happened that Monroe was there, and we were talking about playing and everything. And just he didn't want to tell me he was going to start, but he basically did tell me, and he was so happy about it. And I didn't tell those ESPN guys, but he started – it wasn't an Ole Miss game day because he played at Ole Miss. I mean, you got to remember I'm sick, man. I can't remember everything right now. I'm not thinking. But his first start, whatever game that was, but this kid has got the it factor. I mean, I can see him being it's hard to be a left tackle, and I think Green will be better playing on the right side now, and he's coming off injury too. But I'm high on Green, and I'm high on Freeling.
I don't know that I understand this question, but we'll give it a go. James McConnell, did Coach get his SEC schedule from Tri-State Coffee?
You know, I got them last year, and there's like 15 of them, and it was unbelievable. I put them everywhere in my house, so when I was walking around, I know who was playing. I'm sure they're on the way. And if they're not, if I don't get them by next week, you can send them. But I appreciate what you did. And I was thinking yesterday, where are they? So I appreciate you, man. Send them on in here.
All right. So I'm glad we could get that connection there. Howard Eubanks wants to know, John Lilly, how is his input helping Georgia?
Well, it's invaluable to have a guy that's an NFL coach and also a college coach and recruiter extraordinary. This guy was behind the scenes at Florida State when they were building that empire down there. He was the man behind the plan for Coach Bobby Bowden. He was kind of like the recruiter extraordinaire, and he's one that laid the pipe for him. And then he left and came up here with Mark and did a good job here. Tremendous family man, really good special teams coach. And here's a situation, again, I think sometimes being redundant, but last week we talked about now that the coaches, the analysts can go on the field and help as compared in the past, all they can do is work during the week. But Kirby tries to get people that he knows, first of all, that maybe have a contract with the pros or a college. And I know of 4 in particular. Brandon Streeter was the offensive coordinator at Clemson. The new O-line coach was an offensive line coach at the Jaguars. And then you had Lilly, who was a special teams player and coach and tight ends at the Panthers. They've got contracts. They're getting paid. Georgia Tech's D coordinators or safeties coach, they're still getting paid. So we bring them in here and, give them a little bit of money, but they get to coach and give them another year on their resume, but at the University of Georgia. But it gives you that added set of eyes. And in particularly with Lilly, he's working with a guy like Hartley, Hartley was a GA for him. So they know how to work together. He's not worried about ego. He's a team guy. But the last part would be if you've got what we call 2-spot, and Kirby's trying to build depth. So the ones are one end of the field, and the 2s and 2s are down there too. But at the other end of the field, instead of the 3s and 4s just watching it, they go down and do the same thing. But somebody's got to coach them. Now you got a guy like Hartley, those other guys working with the 1s, and now you got Lilly down there with the 2s. 3s and 4. It's a big time hit getting Lilly here.
Actually, that's exactly what Todd Hartley said. He said, when I'm at one end, coaching, the first, second team, I got Coach Lilly down there, and he says those guys are getting better coaching than what I'm doing, because he's going to defer to the guy that brought him in, kind of brought him up. So big time addition there, getting John Lilly.
Well, and just one of the really good guys in college football. Roddy, I know you did a story, it's probably a decade ago now, with former Georgia walk-on Jack Lunam, who was also ROTC at Georgia while also being a tight end. I did a podcast interview with him a couple years ago too. He raved about John Lilly and just how he treated everyone in the room. Even after he left Georgia, keep in touch with a lot of the players that he was connected to at Georgia.
So do all the guys at UNC, wherever he's been, he's left a legacy of guys that just
Mac,
put up to a wall for him.
Yeah, Mac Brown was asking me the other day how things are going. I haven't got to see Lilly quite as much since he's gotten here because I've been under the weather a little bit. But I never will forget the first time I met him. We were playing South Carolina down there night before the game. I think it's Quincy's first year. Last year wasn't very good, but the first game down there, and Coach Garner said, Coach, instead of going to the show, I'd like for to go over and watch this high school kid. He ended up going to Clemson, good, very fast receiver. But we were out there watching the game, and Lilly was there from Florida State, and we talked to him, and I was really impressed with him. That was my first chance to meet him, and I've always been real impressed since.
I don't know how you remember stuff like that.
Well,
Dave, do you want to get to the questions on the board?
Yeah, let's do it from Nuga Dog Coach. A lot's been made of Gunnar Stockton's throwing motion. You're a former coach and quarterback coach. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, everybody's going to have a little bit of uniqueness, and you'd like to have everybody throw it perfect style and do all that. My deal was once a guy gets to this level, You can work on certain things as far as footwork and all, but as far as the motion, it's hard to change that. As far as the platform where they're going from, he has a little bit of a different type motion, but he got good velocity and he's got more height than you think. He's really a bigger kid than you're used to, but of course he's not 6'4" like Beck. But I'm a little more interested in where the ball gets there and how accurate. I can say a lot of things on this podcast tonight, and some of them have been good, bad, but you cannot coach accuracy. There's a reason the guy's playing right field in Little League Baseball. He can't throw a strike.
Very true. Very true.
But there's guys in the 6th grade that you know is going to have the accuracy. You either got it or you don't, and you just can't teach that. You can get a little bit better on touch and feel and stuff like that. But if a guy's accurate, I'm not near as worried about his release as I am timing and holding on to the ball. And naturally, a guy that hasn't played much might hold on to it a little longer, trying to make sure the guy's open and all that. But the overriding thing about Gunner, he's going to go up there and give you that extra element that we had, that even Fromm had, that he can hold on to the ball and keep it and make the defense. When we run the inside zone, he can keep the ball on the edge. I don't think we're going to want to do that too much because we don't have anybody established behind him that's even played at all. But anything he might lack in the motion, he makes up for in accuracy and ball velocity and knowledge of the system. I mean, I would say he's got to be right up there, Phi Beta Kappa, on knowing what to do.
I mean, it does seem like from NFL down that there's a lot more, I don't know if understanding is the word, but you see a lot of different arm angles now and a lot of different throws, off-platform things. More forgiveness in that than maybe in previous generations.
Well, here's the point. You just go on the internet. Everybody's got a podcast or a Twitter account, or they're saying, Kurt starts talking for NFL Network. You got all these things, these 7-on-7 camps, these quarterback gurus. It's like having a swing coach in golf. I mean, I think right now, Scotty Scheffler shouldn't be playing golf. He picks up his left foot. I mean,
yeah.
So I mean, that's
terrible,
and I'm terrible tonight. I know people won't watch the show anymore because I've been preaching, but I'll give you one quick story. When Vinny Testaverde won the Heisman Trophy, and he was good. Oh, yeah. I mean, unbelievable. I mean, he played unbelievable at Miami. His coach and I were at a clinic in Fort Lauderdale, and I was talking about the wishbone, and he was talking about Vinny Testaverde. And we had the question and answer period afterward. They took us into what they call the blue room, where all the high school coaches could ask questions. So they were asking me about Jamel Holloway and the wishbone and all. So this one guy, I think he'd had a few too many Budweisers, but he asked the offensive coordinator, he said, I've noticed that Vinny takes a false step before he drops back. What are you going to do about it? So this guy, it really pissed him off because he just talked about all the values that Vinny did. He said, well, I'm probably just going to bench him and play the other guy because he takes a false step.
Love it.
Just won the Heisman Trophy.
This question from SC Dog: does Georgia have the horses to have a top 20 rushing attack this season?
Definitely. I don't know if we'll have the stats that warrant that because that doesn't worry me, the stats as much as the results. But you want a good enough running game that can set up your pass and play action, and tight ends can get open. And yeah, we'll have a top 20 running game.
Nice.
I'll tell you,
all the questions from the
I wouldn't trade our roster right now. I mean, I'd tell you if I did. I mean, I feel good because we got good players, but we got good kids, and they're driven right now. I mean, they want to prove that last year was not as good as what everybody wanted, and they really take a lot of pride in being the Georgia player, and they want to do what's necessary to reward the fans for their loyalty and their support. And these guys are busting their ass for you. So give them a chance here. Don't make a quick analysis based on one scrimmage or anything like that. These, I don't think a lot of our fans would trade our team right now.
They won't. Let's move on to this one, Coach. Last question. How's the backup center position looking?
Well, they've got some athletes there, and one guy I want to mention that's come on strong in camp that I've talked to some people about is Dontrell Glover, a kid from over here at Langston Hughes, number 63. Watch out. This guy's got a mean on, and he's got quickness, and I don't know if he'll be ready to be number 2, but they're going to always cross-train some other guys and put them in there. But we've talked about, all the different linemen. We hadn't mentioned Micah Morris, who I think is a real stallion, probably among the strongest players in the country. He made Bruce Feldman's top 100 for what he calls a freaks list. But we got Micah. He could probably play some there. But, Drew's in there, and then some other guys. I'm not really sure who. But
Clint Claire,
you always want number one factor on the second center is a guy that can get the ball to the quarterback first in the clutch situation, just because he hadn't been in the game. So it all starts with a quarterback center exchange. And I lost the national championship because I didn't have a second team center who could snap the shotgun. And ever since then, if you couldn't snap the shotgun, you didn't play for me. We worked hard on that from that point on, because that was when it just first started coming out in the 80s and 90s. And bad mistake by the old coach here.
Still remember Brandon Cablano going to YouTube to learn how to snap. It's still
here's the thing: if you want to teach your son that, let's say your son's not going to be a starter or something, teach him how to deep snap. If he can snap the ball and make it consistent and can get it back there, he can get a scholarship and maybe go to the NFL. I had a guy, Mike Bartram at Marshall, played 14 years in the NFL as a deep snapper. So that's something to do. But on the shotgun snap, take your hand and just flip it up like this. That's all you got to do. Look your head up, look at where he is, and then flip up your hand like that. I mean, I can teach you how to do that in 15 seconds.
Yeah, you need to make a YouTube video, and all these starting D1 guys will watch it.
Yeah, when I do a YouTube video on that, I'll be probably not going to be doing too many of those, but
we'll do it. We'll do it on TikTok, Coach. I know you like that one better.
I do want to say one thing about tonight. Sadly, we lost a really good man and a good dog in George Patton. George was such a tremendous player here for Coach Dooley. And among the many guys that accepted me when I got the job was George Patton. Every golf tournament we had, every fundraiser that I asked him to do, he was always there. He's done the same thing for Rick and for Kirby. And, he had a tough fight for the last couple of years with cancer. But anybody that knew George Patton knew that you had a guy who was on your side. And he was all about what George had stood for. So rest in peace, George.
Yeah, our condolences to that family. That is a legendary name in these in this area and then those halls over Busmere. Coach, that is all the questions we have for this week. You want to try it again next week? And
we'll see what we got. I told my daughter that I was going to give it a trial tonight, and I was going to try to put the hammer down to see if I had it. And so I talk more than I normally do, and I apologize to you two. But if I don't do another one, at least I gave you one shot this year. So I poured my heart out into this one as far as knowledge of assignment, proper technique, get up to the rest. I did it tonight.
I'll know you're back when you have a joke for us. That's when I'll know.
The joke is me. I'm a physical wreck. Not very big, but I sure am strong.
Well, and again, all those, when you laid the hammer down, we heard it. You created a thunderstorm. So,
yeah, that's pretty funny.
All right, folks, that's all time we have for this week. We will hopefully be back. It's our regular time next week, maybe Tuesday at noon, but we're not sure what Kirby Smart's schedule is going to be. He spoke today at 11:30, so we couldn't do it at noon today. We moved it to 7. We appreciate all of you changing your evening plans and joining us tonight at 7 instead of at noon. But just stay tuned to this channel, our Facebook page, our Twitter channels, the front page of UGASports.com. We will let you know what our time is going to be next week. And also, if you're not a member, sign up now. Get your first week for $1. And then at the end of that week, they send you a code for a free subscription to The Athletic. So check it out when you get a chance. And we will see you all next week.